Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special Tuesday night edition of The Wrap live on YouTube on the Fight Game Media Network. I'm Keila Cash, and by my side, as always, is my co captain, my right hand, the sometimes advocate for the rapidly improving Miss Jada Parker from NXT. I bring to you live on YouTube, live for your viewing pleasure, the one, the only, Salty Scott Young. Welcome back, Salty.
Thank you for having me, Keila. As always, it's a pleasure to chop it up and talk all things WWE. Back from vacation, excited. Just took two kids to the beach, full of energy, right? Oh, yeah, ready to go. No, this is great. Excited to be live. And we had a good episode to talk about. A lot of good things to talk about. I think it's going to be a great discussion. And I'm excited.
Yes, I'm very excited too. So, for anyone that is watching live right now on YouTube, you can comment along with the show as we talk about all things WWE. We're going to be going in reverse order. So, the main event will actually be NXT this week because we have a PLE this weekend, NXT Battleground going down live from the UFC Apex Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada, a very unique venue for NXT. Savannah, Georgia was originally going to get this PLE, but instead it goes to Vegas because of the TKO WWE collaboration ownership situation. So that's what we're going to get this Sunday, and we'll preview the show during this episode. But before we get started, for those of you that know us very well, we have to talk about the one thing before we get into WWE, and that is game one of the NBA Finals going down Thursday. It is the Boston Celtics versus the Dallas Mavericks. And Scott, who you got winning the trophy, the championship, the chip?
I got Dallas in 6. Dallas winning game 1. I think they're going to steal home court advantage. I just think there's just something, certain teams that just have something, and I think this is a team that just has it going right now. Everybody's clicking. Lively's back in the action. He's had some time to rest. Like, I know Porzingis is 7-3, but he's still gonna have to come out and play defense on Luka. The lob is still gonna be there. Boston's definitely more talented, but I just think the way they're playing, I got Dallas in 6.
I got Dallas in 6 as well. I like Luka a lot. I'm tolerating Kyrie this series, so I'm rooting for them as well. I think it might go 7. It might go 7, and I got Dallas winning in 7. So go Dallas. It's going to be a really fun series. Looking forward to it. And I think that some statements are going to be made at long last. Luka will win his first championship. This is the best team he's got so far. And I think that Kyrie and Luka complement each other beautifully. I think they were meant to play together after trying to form super teams the last 4 or 5 years. This is how you put a team together. 2-man units still work in the NBA, and it's proven via this collaboration thus far.
Well, 2-man units and good role players, and
Yes.
role players have to hit shots, and they've been able to do that. Then you have the two guys who they're either open in the quarter with 20 points and just taking your spirit away, or they're closing out the game, and hitting a step back 3 on the defensive player of the year. So however you want it, they'll give it to you, it's your choice. They can serve it any way you want. So it's going to be a great series. I think it's going to be exciting. My luck, I might have the Charles Barkley effect and Boston will sweep them. That'll be my luck. But, still sticking Dallas with 6.
All right, gonna roll with it. Feel that as well. As we now move to the important stuff, which is WWE. We're going to be talking about Friday Night SmackDown going down live this past Friday. And I want to dive into the top story, which was the alleged retirement of AJ Styles. He comes out in his powder blue suit. He's talking about, his son's graduation recently, talking about missing family milestones. When you're on the road for 20 plus years, you miss birthdays, you sometimes miss graduations, you miss football games, maybe you miss a lot of milestones in your kids' lives. So as they get older, you want to be home a bit more. You want to be a phenomenal dad and not just phenomenal as a wrestler. So he wants to thank everyone for their love and their support. And, at this stage in his career, at his age, he doesn't feel like sitting around and waiting for opportunities to come to him because you have to sit in the back of the line after getting a championship shot at Backlash last month in Lyon, France. So he has the good brothers by his side, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, offering emotional support in the corner. And, they put up the two sweets to remind each other of their bond and to say, thank you for the memories. I appreciate you. And then I knew when things were about to take a turn, Scott, when AJ Styles said, hey, Cody, come on out here. I want to talk to you. I said, well, Cody, you're about to get played. Cody comes out, big ovation. They love up on their match at Backlash. They trade the text message exchange of how special that moment was for both of them. Cody is getting visibly emotional. He's getting teary-eyed at this faux retirement. I'm like, you sucker, you idiot, you dummy. You are so gullible. Like, the moment AJ Styles calls you out to the ring, the fix is in. Did you not see what Mark Henry did to John Cena? 11 years ago around this time in the Salmon Peak jacket, as he basically said, I'm just going to go home. Here's my boots. It's been fun. Cena goes for a hug and then bam, the world's strongest slam. And then, of course, we have Dum Dum Cody, who I love, by the way, who raises up AJ's hand. They do the four corners. He parades AJ around, showing love, admiration, and respect to this guy and his legacy. And then AJ Styles turns around and proceeds to whoop his ass. And the fans boo this. Corey Graves is shocked at this act of betrayal. The good brothers standing there trying not to crack a smile at their guy going back to his roots as he basically beats the shit out of Cody, lands a Styles Clash on the floor. And you know what that means. He found a way to get back in front of the line for another shot at the undisputed WWE Championship, most likely at Clash at the Castle next Saturday in Glasgow, Scotland. But Scott, your thoughts on the phenomenal non-retirement of one AJ Styles and what he did to Cody on SmackDown this past Friday?
Couple things. So lot to unpack there, lot to digest. Let's start at the top, okay? First clue that you knew something was up. AJ Styles coming out in the powder blue. Ooh, the powder blue, though. Anytime somebody come out in some type of powder, some type of light, you got problems. They about to do something bad. And you know what? Here's the thing, though. AJ might not have been ready to turn. He might not have been ready to do that. But Cody going to come out and parade this dude around the corner. He did it more than 4 times. He tried to hit the 4 corners twice. And AJ went to about 6 and said, that's enough. And that's when he got mad. That's when he snapped. I might have snapped too. So this is all on Cody. He's an idiot. This is not the Cody verse. You can't just do stuff. Like, you need friends. You the number one baby face in the land, and you ain't got no friends. Nobody came out to help this man. Nobody. If I'm Cody Rhodes, I'm going to the back and I'm chewing out it. You didn't help me. You can't come on the bus. You can't come on the bus. You can't come on the bus. Oh, what's up, Jay? You can't come on the bus. Nobody can come on the bus anymore. This man out here getting jumped and nobody helped him. I don't understand how you treat your top babyface like that. I get what they wanted to do, and it was effective because the crowd was booing. But, Mark Henry did it better. This was good. Mark Henry did it better. His is legendary. Styles is okay. It's cool. But we got where we needed to go. It'll be another great match. Clash is going to be – looks like it's going to be a pretty good card in ring. But this was just a lot, man. A lot of illogical stuff to get AJ Styles back to the front of the line instead of just having him win a couple matches.
Well, Nick Aldis says, no, we weren't going to do that. He told AJ basically, you're old, you're washed, and there is no opportunities for you anymore around here. You got to sit in the back of the line, wait 2 to 3 years if you got the time, and I'll get back to you. Nick basically told that man, we're done. You had your shot, and AJ had to strategize and figure out a way, how can I get another chance at Cody and the title? I know what to do. I'm going to go in my retirement bag and make sure I play on his sympathies. And then bam, that's how I get my shot. Smart strategy by AJ because Cody Rhodes is gullible. He's an idiot. And crazily enough, we know Arn Anderson is now a free agent and he could be coming to WWE as a mentor to Cody, which I would love to see, honestly, because if Cody's doing dumb stuff like this, he needs Arn to check him to say, what are you doing? Have you learned nothing from me about not to fall for dumb stuff like this? Really?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope Arn Anderson brings the Glock too. We definitely need all that. We need all arms ready to go, cocked and loaded. I want him to give the exact same promo, word for word too. You pull out the Glock and you let him. I want it all and put it right on Cody's head and let's see how that gets over. Yeah, that's cool. I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I need Coach Arn over there with his board, right, going over the plays that he wants to go over with Cody. This ain't the Heritage Cup. We don't have rounds in between where you going over plays that you gonna do. Nah, I'm good. I'm good on Arn. Like he can come, and get the bag. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with anybody getting the bag, but I'm good on Coach Arn.
We don't need like Coach Arn Belichick during
Nah, I'm good.
the playbook and doing the rules and analysis and trying to see what moves Cody can run in the ring to make sure he retains his championship. Do the X's and O's of his offense and defense, obviously.
What they're gonna do when they come back from, like, when he's wrestling on TV, when they come back from a commercial break? Are they gonna be interviewing him on the sideline? Like, all right, so what did you go over when we went on the commercial break? Did you go over any game plans? I saw you talking to him in the corner when Cody threw him out the ring. I'm good on Coach Arn. I just want him to come and just fire Cody up one good time with the Glock. That's all. That's all I need him for, is just to fire him up one good time with the Glock. Unload the clip. And then he good. I don't need the clipboard. I just need him to unload the clip.
You might get both. I'm just warning you right now. And a tracksuit. So you're gonna get two warnings. Yes, tracksuit clip and the clipboard, okay? In that order. Believe me when I say that. But I am looking forward to Coach Arn in the event he does make his return to WWE to coach up Cody, because I do have a feeling that he's going to need some help because AJ might, possibly, maybe pull a fast one. You never know. We shall see it Clash at the Castle on next Saturday. As we get to more happenings on SmackDown this past Friday, we have Queen Nia Jax officially getting coronated by Nick Aldis, and she's ready for whoever's going to be the women's champion by the time SummerSlam rolls around. Calls out Bayley, but before Bayley can come out, we have Piper Niven attack her from behind, and Nia just watches as Chelsea Green antagonizes along the way, and that leads to a tag team match between the WWE Women's Champion Bayley and Naomi versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. And this is a match that the heels win as Piper continues to build momentum heading into her championship match against Bayley at Clash, which is cool, as a lot of Scotland representation will be on this card next Saturday.
Yeah, it's definitely some home cooking going on. Yeah, the refs are definitely in the pocket for this one. The script is in play here for Piper for this one. It would be nice if she was protected a little bit more in the tag team as it is. Like, I wish she could just like go out and squash some people and then Chelsea stands over them, and stuff like that. But they make her a big deal, but she always ends up either taking the pinfall or just getting taken out. The big move gets taken to her. So I'm sure the match will be good. I'm curious to see how the crowd's going to react. You got a lot of them being heels, the quote unquote hometown heroes, and you got the baby faces. They're going to be in a different spot. The energy is going to be off the charts, but I'm just curious to see how that Bayley Piper reaction is going to play out.
For sure. Could be a split reaction for sure. Bayley's going to be beloved. Piper will be over as well. Should be a heated match. Very good. And I just love when Piper gets opportunities to shine. I know that she won't win, but at least they are trying to book her strongly heading into this match, which is a good thing. And Nia Jax is lying in wait for whoever comes out of this match on top heading into SummerSlam in August. But I do want to touch on a backstage segment involving LA Knight and Carmelo Hayes. So we have Keila Braxton interviewing LA Knight, and apparently LA's next target is Logan Paul and the United States Championship. And Melo is still sniffing around too. And there was a little faux pas by Carmelo by calling Logan Paul LA Knight, and LA Knight ever on the fly is going to call him out on it. Super smooth. And Mello, I have to say, did not sweat it. He did not stumble. He didn't act like he got caught up, which I appreciated. But it really speaks to how great LA Knight is to pick up on the little things and try not to drag too much, but just get just enough in order to slightly rib Carmelo for that little flub on live TV.
I'm just saying, man, certain people you don't want to play with. You don't want to put a live grenade in front of them because they might throw it back. Even if you accidentally, pulled the plug a little too early, they're gonna run up to it and throw it back at you. LA Knight's one of the best in the game as far as talking. And if he catch you slipping, he'll embarrass you real quick.
Very quickly. And he did in a very smooth and savvy way, which I appreciated. Love you, Mello, but you deserve that. As we get to, I got to keep it real. If you get caught slipping, if you get dragged,
I got it.
I celebrate that.
Though.
It did. Just a touch. I did laugh at Mello saying, I guess I have to go back to NXT now. Clown emoji. Messed up my lines.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a good clap back. As we get to my favorite part of the show, which was Kevin Owens and Paul Heyman's in-ring segment. And Paul Heyman is just petrified of this new bloodline. He's basically saying, Kevin, they're criminals, okay? They're criminals. They're felons. They're monsters. I'm scared of them. You should be scared of them too. Why are you not scared of them like I'm scared of them? This is not Roman's bloodline. This is Solo's bloodline, and you should be deathly afraid of them. I'm trying to do you a favor and a solid. Stay away from them, please. I'm scared. You should be scared. We should all be scared. Like, Paul was giving the most petrified performance I've ever seen. He was just sweating bullets and borderline tears about how dangerous this new version of the bloodline is. I laughed because Paul sells it perfectly when he says, no, they're criminals, okay? Criminals. They have records. They got priors, okay? They don't play. This is the criminal bloodline, okay? They rock prison orange, all right? Like, they can't get in the country because they're felons. That's basically what he's saying. And I love it. Kevin was like, whatever, I'm ready to do what I got to do because, Kevin ain't scared of nothing, which I appreciate. But I think at some point very, very, very soon, Solo is going to take out Paul Heyman. And when that day happens, Paul is going to be gone for a time to convalesce. And then probably before the end of the summer, he's going to bring back his tribal chief for a tremendous pop. And I think that one of the beautiful things about this entire saga that is never ending is that we're going to be building to the eventual reunion of the OG bloodline of Roman and the Usos. He's got a lot of reconciling to do, and Paul's got to finesse that behind the scenes. But Paul has got to get destroyed by Solo in order for that to happen down the road, and then he'll bring back Roman, and that will really humble whatever this is. And we're still waiting for Jacob Fatu to show up. We don't know what side he's going to be on. But as we said before on this show, they're trying to build up Solo as the guy. But when Jacob hits the scene, that's going to be the guy.
Yeah, Solo's in trouble. No matter how you shake it, he's looking to be playing fourth, fifth fiddle by the time this is all said and done. Let's not forget Jey Uso's coming back into the mix. Jimmy will be back into the mix. The Usos will be back into the mix. That's a big time reunion right there. So yeah, it's not looking good for Solo. I mean, Tama's looking real good right now. God is going to look real good right now. So Solo's got some work to do. I like the presentation, but he's not menacing. He's not. He ain't scaring nobody like he was before. Like before he started talking, like when he was just standing there in the back, like, yo, don't mess with me. That was a vibe. This is cool, but this ain't that vibe that he had.
No, I think the vibe that worked for him was when the fans kind of sensed that he was threatening Roman's position as a babyface potentially, that he would eventually turn on him and then he'll be the babyface in this story. With him being so heavy leaning into being the menacing heel as the stand-in tribal chief is not as effective and he's not as menacing as he should be. Now, granted, he has great presence for days and he does have some charisma, but we know that Jacob is going to eclipse him in terms of that charisma and the mic work. And even Tamatonga right now, outside of that one thing he did a couple of weeks ago, like this got the Tasmanian Devil.
Yeah, what was that?
I don't know what that was, but he quickly got over it. But he has great presence. He has regained the cheddar biscuits that he lost, and he looks great out there. He's really good in the ring, and he has that down packed. He's doing a good job, and Tongaloa is doing fine as well. Solo, nice centerpiece, but that time is going to come when Roman and the Usos and Jacob's eventual debut is going to outshine him, and I hope they can hold his own. And this is the opportunity to really test that theory as to see whether or not he's got it as a front leading guy leading story on SmackDown. It's good. It could be better, but he's going to get clipped in due time, I hate to say.
Well, yeah, I mean, anybody, I think Roman's about to come back with a vengeance anyway. There was nobody that's really going to talk with that man on the mic right now. So as far as the bloodline and this whole bloodline story goes, that's already not on his side. Yeah, so I mean, Solo will have his opportunity and maybe he'll surprise everyone. We'll see what happens, but he is going to have some big shoes to fill when the time comes for Jacob and for Roman. And we have this kind of big moment in the ring. So time is going to come. SummerSlam's right around the corner too. That's going to be a big show. Something big is going to happen. A big chapter in this story is going to unfold. So we won't have to wait long to see what's going to happen with that. But Solo's doing fine for right now. I mean, nothing he's doing is bad. It's definitely not what it was. And I don't think it's supposed to be. And I think that's kind of supposed to be the point, is that as hard as he may try, he'll never be the bloodline. And I think that is kind of the point of this entire thing.
Exactly. He's just somebody there as a placeholder for the time being. And we're going to get the anointment or the anointing of Tongaloa on SmackDown on Friday. So he's going to have holy water on scene.
No, he's going to go. He's going to do his New Japan routine. The one where he's throwing the hands and he's doing the karate. Have you seen it? Where he hits the back elbow? Ha! Yeah, he's gonna do all that. He's gonna show everyone the routine.
I'm here for that. So have some anointing water, do the routine. Ooh. Paul's gonna be petrified in the corner. I'm here for that. So that's going down on SmackDown this Friday. We'll look forward to that. As we get to one more thing on SmackDown that I want to get to, and I want Scott's opinion on this because, I really like Andrade. Okay. And they're teasing something with him and Legado, and Angel wants him in the faction, and Andrade is like, no, I don't want any part of this. But I'm going to the presentation of him in WWE again. And I don't know what it is. There's something missing, as it was missing in AEW. And I'm going to say that it's a combination of two things. And it's coming down to presentation. The entrance music is very generic. When he comes out, people really don't know who he is. And number two, it's the face mask. It's the lucha mask. It's like, yeah, you're synonymous with that from years ago, but there's no connection with the crowd, with this mask and the music and you. And therefore, when you're out there, there's nothing really to grab onto. The talent's unmistakable. He does have charisma, but the presentation, it just feels very cold right now. And I wonder what he can do and what can Paul Levesque do and what can the creative team do to kind of get him out of this stasis, because it's like he's here, but he's not doing anything extraordinary right now.
So I think you're spot on. And that brings me back to, when was Andrade the most over? When was he at his peak? And that was when he has Zelina Vega by his side. Maybe it's time to figure out a way. I know they're on separate brands, but you got to figure out a way to get them, I think, put them back together. Or, because I think that's what he's missing, somebody to play off of. Like, he needs something to play off of, something beside him that just brings the aura up to another level. Like, when Zelina was with him, like she would talk him up. He wouldn't have to say a word, and he just had this presence to him, and he can keep the mask. Like I don't I like the mask. I think the mask is cool, but he needs, like you said, he needs something else. I think Zelina, or you really want to kind of say, hey, we're serious about you. When you bring Charlotte Flair back, you pair him up with her. Like, I just think that's what he's missing. Like, could it be that he just needs that valet on his side? But that's, well, Charlotte, neither one of them would be a valet. Like, Charlotte's a wrestler. He would be her valet, if anything. But I just think that's when he was at his best, is with Zelina. So you either figure out a way to give her back, or you make a little power couple with him and Charlotte.
I like that too, and I liked him incorporating her offense with his offense. He did the figure eight in AEW. I was like waiting for that, because if he did that in WWE, there'd be the correlation and connection there that would pop the crowd in some way. I just think he needs something, and it's either Zelina or maybe he needs Charlotte. I think that combination would be very nice to see as well in WWE, but he needs something that's going to have him stand out. He's got the charisma that's undeniable. The talent's right there as well, but there's just something with the presentation that's off. And I like the face mask too. I loved it in NXT when he did, like, his introductions before his match and whatnot. But in WWE, again, it's like it's an emphasis on it, but it's like this disconnect in terms of presentation, the music, and him, that doesn't really resonate as strongly as it should for me.
And the music is a big part of it too. It's not hidden. I mean, we in a bad stretch with music, and it is what it is. We get lucky every now and then, but we're in a bad stretch with that. So the music's not great. He doesn't have a great entrance like that. So he's just kind of there right now. And until they decide, like, him not being a King of the Ring was just kind of like, what we doing? What we doing? Why not?
Yeah, that was definitely a choice.
Just why not? Like, he can take a loss. Like, if he were to lose the Gunther, what does he losing the Gunther? Losing the
nothing. Nothing at all. He'll be absolutely fine. And this was a tournament that nobody was afraid to kind of eat the loss in.
Exactly.
There was a situation where I didn't want to see certain people lose, but they lost. Look at Bianca Belair. She didn't win. Look at Jay Cargill. There was a DQ finish there. Like, people got pinned. Jey Uso did not win. We saw Ilio. He did not win. Randy Orton did not win. So, yes, you can beat somebody. You won't lose. That's the beauty of it, because those wins and losses actually matter for something, that you're not afraid to beat somebody because you're trying to build somebody up. And that makes sense in that case. It's not just a loss for a loss. It's a loss in order to build up the winner eventually, because they went through so much in order to become king and queen of the ring. So if Andrade was in the mix, he would have been just fine with an L. It would have been okay, because that's the purpose of this tournament. It's got to count. The losses have to hurt a little bit in order to elevate the winner at the end of the day.
And, especially, like, you can always come back to that loss as kind of like, a catalyst for an easy story. Like, let's say that man is going out. He lost to Randy Orton. Let's say he loses to Randy Orton on the way to the finals. That's a solid feud to go back to right after Randy loses. Again, they're going to have really good matches. Both can take the win. Both can eat a pinfall. Like, Randy's at a point in his career where he doesn't need to just be taking random pinfalls, but we can build to Andrade getting a big win over Randy Orton. Like, there are things you can do to keep him busy, to keep him active, to keep him just doing stuff. Like, there are family ties that we could be just exploring more and just giving more time to. But it is what it is. Some of these complaints that they have that is being thrown out there about the presentation of Andrade, like we just laid out, there's definitely something to that, and he's just kind of gonna be there until they decide to figure out what they're gonna do. Like, just look at Dragon. We're gonna get to look at Dragon Lee. Like, he just got back on TV. Like, he ain't been doing much. Like, it's just they don't really know what they have. A lot of talent, and they just, some of these stories are just kind of being thrown together last minute. And it's just like, who can we throw out there?
Exactly. A lot of things to figure out, and hopefully they can kind of reset the table, midsummer, try to get some people a bit more over because the talent's right there. Just got to put them in the right positions to shine. As we now get to Monday Night Raw going down live from a sold out Hershey, Pennsylvania. Shout out to the crowd because they were lively most of the night, kept me alert, which I appreciate. I appreciate a crowd that is engaged. They're having fun. They're upbeat. They're cheering. And most importantly, when you give them a good show to care about, you will get responses such as that. As we're going to get into Liv Morgan, our new women's world champion. And she's very proud of her handiwork over the last couple of weeks. She beat Becky Lynch to become the new champion via a steel cage match. And she supposedly sent Becky into early retirement. We'll see about that. We're going to talk about Becky's status momentarily, but I do want to talk about Liv Morgan and her revenge tour and vowing to take everything from one Rhea Ripley. And that leads to one Dominic Mysterio coming out after Liv talked up the kiss scene, not on national television last week, but on social media because WWE and USA missed the time cue to show that finish on last week's show. So Dominic comes out to supreme heel heat. And he can barely get a word in edgewise, but he's talking about how he's going to make it up to mommy. This isn't going to last, and you're going to pay. And Liv's like, I don't care. If we're going to go down, we're going to go down together. And she
Bonnie
is
and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde. We don't need that very violent finish. I don't need bullets of glory here. But Liv proceeded to tempt dirty Dominic Mysterio. She put that man in the corner and she started to rub up on the chest. And, Dom was trying to be one of the strongest soldiers in the world, trying to maintain your composure, trying to keep it together. And, Finn came out there, and I'm laughing at Finn because I saw on social media earlier because he did say, I am the designated cock blocker from last night. I cock blocked every chance I got. Get away from us, Liv. But Liv says, make me. Do you really want me to stay? Do you really want me to go? Asked Dominic. And then before she leaves, she goes in the corner. And this is what made Dominic fold ever so lightly. She got in that man's hair, massaged that scalp.
That'll do it. That'll do it. Hey, you get in the back of the head, boy, and start rubbing that head. That'll do it.
She found his spot, and a smile crept on his face ever so slightly, and he folded just a little bit, and she walked away, and she smiled. And I loved it. And you know why I loved it? Because it's good drama and it's good soap. And you don't know where it's going to go. Because right now, we see Dominic fighting temptation. Is he really fighting? Is he playing? We don't know. It could go either way. He could go with mommy and they can set Liv up and it'll be a great moment. Or he can totally flip. It could go either way. That's the brilliance of the storyline. And the Easter eggs WWE has dropped along the way. It's great. And for anyone that has pushed back on Liv, numbers do not lie. Her segments with Dominic are the most viewed on YouTube. They're highly engaged on social media. This angle is working. It's working in the arenas. Listen to the people. They were all up into it. So yes, this is working, and Liv is really good at being a temptress. No doubt about it. She's great at this.
So real quick, shout out to Dom because Liv would have had me at hello. I'm just saying, man, like real talk. Shout out to Dom, man. Like that's about as much as you can do in that situation. And then also, we got to get on the snitch Pat McAfee. Okay, this dude brought out a whole replay and it was diagramming. Dom smiling. He showed the eye contact. Like, come on, Pat. Bro code. You know better. You can't do that. I wanted your opinion first, and I mentioned this off air. I wanted you to kind of lay out what you thought about it because I saw a lot of pushback on it. and I saw a lot of kind of, in my opinion, real wild claims as far as how the segment came off and what the segment was, and some things never change and blah blah blah. I everything you said at the end about the soap aspect of it, because nobody knows whether Dom is in on it or not. And like all the tea leaves, the entire story, this has all been leading towards it. And it's not like Dom, I mean, let's keep it a buck. Dom never pushed her off and was like, no, or stop. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that's kind of where it's like, is Dom in on it? You know what I mean? We've seen them backstage together. We've seen them getting out of cars together. We've seen Liv and Finn getting out of cars together. Maybe he cock blocking for a reason. He said, listen, I ain't into the whole somebody filming and, all that stuff. I got the mask for a reason. It's one eye hole. Okay. So there's a lot of ways that this can go. Liv says she wants to take everything away from Rhea. This is fitting right into the story. And I saw one comment that was, flip the roles, flip the roles. And that is a fair comment, because if you can't do it gender neutrally, maybe you shouldn't do it. But I will say this, if the roles were flipped, the women would have, if they were, the woman who was being pushed up on would have smacked the piss out of whoever that male was. Like if that was Dom pushing up on babyface Liv would have smacked the piss out of him, and it would have got a huge reaction. So Dom can't smack the piss out of Liv. He just can't do that. You know what I mean? So there are certain things where you have to kind of take every story as it is. But I just think this is one where we need to let it play out and see what happens before we just make these crazy claims about what this story is.
It's a very delicate balance. I think I saw the same take from last week too regarding the kiss, and I do agree, because I do wish they would have took the NXT approach with Lash and Trick, that it was a consensual kiss and that they were both into it. It's a mix for me with that kiss on Monday. I do agree, because Dom wasn't reciprocal. And this week, it's like more of her, in his personal space and him fighting, but we don't know whether or not he's in on it or not. That's the thread of the storyline here. Is he really repulsed by Liv Morgan, or is he really into this and it's all a setup? Or is it a matter of waiting for Rhea to come back and it's the big reveal of who he's really for at the end of the day? I think that WWE has to be very careful in terms of the presentation of it. I thought it was a bit better on Monday, but yeah, it's the dynamics of it. You have to be able to you have to be very delicate with it one way or the other. And it's something they have to be very mindful of, because that perception is there. And in some cases, rightfully so. And there are going to be takes that are on the way side of the extreme. And then there's some in the middle where I'm at, which I'm totally cool with. But I just want to make sure that the story ultimately is told with that care and with a little bit of edge too. Like, you can do this and still do it in a way that is not going to be offensive, or is not going to be in a way that's going to turn off viewers. I totally understand the sentiment, because I kind of felt that way too. That's why I appreciated the kiss with Trick and Lash, because it was consensual. She was the one that kissed Trick, and he was the one that kissed her back. I just wanted a bit more of that from that kiss on Monday with Liv and Dominic. But I do like what I see moving forward, because now we kind of see Dom's defenses falling, because Liv came out to protect him this past Monday against Braun Strowman, and he was like, okay, that's my queen setting up for me. So we'll see where that goes. And Finn continues to be a cock blocker, and as you said, what is he blocking for? Is he blocking for himself? Because he has also been around Liv recently. We don't know what's really, really going on. So we'll see exactly what those dynamics will be in due time. But I'm looking forward to when Rhea Ripley comes back and what Dom is truly going to do when it all comes down to it. And I'm laughing at Jordynne Grace, because this suggestion must happen at some point. It's been almost 20 years.
Here we go.
And even though Dirty Dominic Mysterio is not a blonde anymore, We need to have
No, we
a
don't.
second. Yes, we do. We need to have a second custody of Dominic ladder
Custody.
match. Yes,
Custody.
custody. Custody.
No. So I don't think it needs to be in a ladder match. Well, if you do it in a ladder match, he needs to be hanging in a cage. There needs to be a key. Needs to be a key hanging. That's what you go get off the ladder is a key and a contract. And you got to sign it and grab the key. So if you sign it but you don't get the key, you don't get Dom. So you got to get the key and the contract. Get him out that shark cage. I guess you didn't like my shark cage idea.
I was drinking water. That's what I was doing. It's live TV. Needed to moisturize my throat. But it's all good. I do love the shark cage idea, though. Now, we need like Dom to fall through the trap and then fall in his lover's arms when it's all said and done. Someone will catch Dom and he'll find the love of his life when it's all said and done. But I'm all for this storyline. It's fun, it's soapy, it's over with the people, and it's got good engagement on social media and on YouTube. I mean, those are the metrics that really matter to WWE. And if the fans in the arena are rolling with it, then in a lot of ways, the angle is working.
And your opinion holds a lot of weight here, not only because you are a woman and a woman's perspective on these type of segments and stuff like that is way more important and holds more weight than mine does. And on top of that, you are the soap queen. Shout out to Sprinas. Shout out to the GH crew. Shout out to your squad over there. I know they over there. They supporting. So shout out to your squad.
Thank you so much. The squad is going through it right now. We're going through like a spring of hiatus, don't know what's going to happen. But that's the beauty of soaps, that's what kind of brings people together. And that is what brings wrestling fans together, because a lot of wrestling fans grew up on soaps. They know this very well, like, for example, a wedding is going to always draw no matter who's the one getting married in WWE. Just saying. So,
Yeah.
and just like when Rhea comes back and we have Dom and Liv in a love triangle, that is going to bring up the ratings. Believe it or not, it definitely will. Bet your ass on that. Guaranteed. But enough of Liv and Judgment Day and cock blocking Finn. Let's get to Sheamus versus Ludwig Kaiser, my other guy. Very good match. They beat the ever loving hell out of each other. They went at it. We had Ludwig go after that knee of Sheamus, chop block off top before the match even started, and they just went back and forth. It was a great battle, and I thought Sheamus was going to win, but they gave the win to Ludwig, because if you're talking that much junk and smack for the last few weeks, you better get the W. And it feels like the WWE is very serious about pushing Ludwig as a single star, as they should, because that guy is great. That's why he has unlimited supply of cheddar biscuits at a local Red Lobster, not under bankruptcy.
We'll see about that. I appreciate them getting that man ready for Bash, because that's all this is. See, this is what they should have been doing with Piper. Should have been just getting dominant wins, just running through people. That's a big win over Sheamus, and this is giving him some momentum. After Clash, we get to the Bash, and I think he's gonna have a big match. I don't know if it's Gunther like everybody's talking about, but I could see him and maybe like a Dragunov having a match at the Bash or something like that. But they're definitely getting him ready and giving him some wins to heat him up for that.
Oh, for sure. And I'm here for that as well. That's what you do. You build them up in advance, not with weeks to go. You got months of one way to work with, which I appreciate. So I'm all for that at the Bash in Berlin in late August. As we get to the ever long running saga of the Alpha Academy being held hostage by Chad Gable. And we have Sami Zayn trying to free Maxine and Otis and Akira from the grips of Chad Gable. So we got dear sweet Maxine Dupree coming out there reading a letter that Chad drafted, and Chad just threw shade at everybody in this letter, and she had to read it out loud, which was so embarrassing and sad. And Sammy was just trying to say, listen, have some self-respect, get up off the floor, and for God's sakes, find your nerve to walk away from this man. I was you. I I was you this time last year. I was in the struggle. I had to come up with a choice to make for myself, to free thyself from the bloodline. You too could free thyselves from Chad Gable. But I know what Chad wants. He wants another shot at the Intercontinental Championship, and he'll get it at Clash at the Castle. I'm going to give him what he wants. So Chad comes out from behind, attacks Sami Zayn, and the Alpha Academy stand there and they're trying to, either hold the line or fight back. And each individual tried to stand up to Chad Gable. Akira got punked out. Maxine got talked down to. Otis got fired up. And the pop Otis got for getting in Chad's face was so real. Like, that was a bloodline type pop of like Sammy or Jay getting up in Roman's face. And this was not even the moment you've been waiting for. Like, the build up to this was so great. And so as this is happening, Sammy regains control. But as we have, for whatever reason, Otis want to do a group hug with Maxine and Akira Tozawa on the apron, and then Chad is going to bump Sammy into Otis, knocks him off the ring apron, and Otis is like, "Who did that?" And then Chad says, "Sammy did it. He's the one that pushed you." And of course, Otis falls for it, slams Sammy. Chad's thrilled about this, and then the Alpha Academy stands tall. Backstage, Chad is so delusional that he congratulates Maxine and Akira Tozawa for outstanding acting for their falls and selling, and celebrates Otis. And they're all looking like, what the hell is going on? But the most notable thing to me, outside of this segment, which was great, is the fact that Chad Gable backstage keeps talking to the Creed brothers. And that is going to lead to Team Gable one day very, very soon. That's why I can accept the Creeds losing right now, because eventually they're going to be winning as heels.
Yeah, this was a bloodline-esque segment. Even all the way to Sammy acknowledging that, hey, it's the exact same thing. This is great. You know what to do. Otis got a great reaction, and I think he reminded people why he was giving Money in the Bank in the first place. I know everybody's like, why? That dude was major over at the time. I just think that he's going to get an opportunity to really showcase himself. And I don't know what they're going to do with him and Tozawa. I think there would be a fun tag team if they're treated seriously with Maxine. Like, you can have them as a fun babyface tag team, but there's something there with Otis, man. You can get some mileage out of him. He's a big man babyface. You don't have a lot of those. We got Braun. He just came back, but you don't have somebody like Otis. Like, Braun ain't doing no worms, okay? You need somebody who could do the worm and then drop that elbow like that. So this is, I think the segment was very, very good. Chad's fantastic. I think there's no way he leaves. I know his contract's coming up. And I fully expect Otis to try to come out and I know he's going to be there. Maybe he doesn't go at it, and then the Creeds come out afterwards and they're going to beat him down. But yeah, I'm with you. That's going to be the new American Alpha, and that's going to be a great trio between those three.
Oh, for sure. Serious badasses that can work at a high level. That is going to be great when the time comes. And Otis, I've always loved this dude from NXT to the main roster. He has this indelible personality and charisma that is very unique. He's a big guy, but I just love his face. It's so expressive, and he just sells it so well. He sells happiness and sadness, and it's just great. And he had moments, I think, even before the pandemic hit. Remember the love storyline with him and Mandy Rose? Like, that was very popular with the people. And I think one of the worst parts about the pandemic was the fact that they didn't get that pop in front of people when they kissed at WrestleMania. Like, that would have been like everything. And that was a cool coupling, and they got over that way. So Otis is always going to have these opportunities to get over as a star. And I hope that whenever the day comes when he finally flips on Chad Gable, that pop is going to be incredible. And I think there's this fear of like, what do you do afterwards? Where your goal is to push him to that next level. Will he ever be world champion? No, but he can be a solid mid-card champion in WWE with the proper push and elevation. And he's got the tools to do it. He's got the talent. He's very nimble for his size. He can talk. He's got the charisma. The fans love him. And that's the build up to that. If he gets that pop for that turn on Chad Gable, that is going to build him up. It's not going to end right there, because I think there is a big plan for Otis that would have been, well thought out maybe 4 years ago when he did win Money in the Bank, but it was a joke. But with Triple H in charge of creative, it will not be a joke so much, because Otis will be viewed and presented seriously when the time comes.
As much as and I did show him some love, I don't know how high I see him really getting up there. I definitely don't see him, and obviously I can, what do I know? Who am I? But, I just don't know if world champion, like you said, I don't even know if I see him as a mid-card champion. Like, I don't know if I could see him as the IC champion, at least as a long-term type thing, especially the way they've established that title and who's going to and who's got that title. Like, we went from Gunther to Sami Zayn, who's arguably one of the most over people in the company. And it'll probably go to Chad Gable next. So, like, even though I know he really shouldn't take another loss, man, let me tell you, that World Heavyweight title it's a little more open. And I wouldn't mind Chad Gable winning that Money in the Bank briefcase and having the Creed brothers beside him while he has that briefcase. Just imagine that guy having the briefcase and just being around, just sitting around at all times, just watching, having the Creed brothers there. Like, I'm here for Chad Gable as Mr. Money in the Bank 2024.
I like that too. I think that could be a great visual, and that man would be in hunt mode at all times, and that would be intriguing. And as you said, it's more wide open. It's more of an open playing field for you to be champion. And I think that will give him some great leeway. Just give him the bag. You know what I mean? Pay Chad his money, because I know his contract is up in WWE. I think he's going to re-up, obviously, and he's getting the push right now, and he's going to get the Creed brothers and most likely Ivy as well. She's going to so turn on Maxine. I'm so sorry, girl, but it's going down. I'm all for that as well, to elevate the Creeds and Ivy and Chad, and he can be Mr. Money in the Bank and be world champion at some point in WWE. That is very doable in this day and age. And he's getting the "you suck" chance. And that was something that wasn't fed to the people. They just started organically. So they kind of know where this is going. Like, Chad Gable is not Kurt Angle. He's not. But he does have that dog in him, like Kurt did back in the day. And that is something that's going to make him stand out. He's got that personality and charisma, because Kurt can go from like silly ass baby face heel to just menacing and cold. And that is what Chad is doing right now, which is really good work.
Yeah, and he eats up a lot of TV time. And, you need people who you can rely on when you got a 3-hour show, who you can rely on for multiple segments. Like, they got a lot of TV time, man. Like, they're getting multiple segments every week. So, yeah, I'm excited to see what this year has for him. And like we talked about, the World Heavyweight title is more open. So I'll never say never. And especially with the new regime, as far as the opportunities, like, I never would have believed Damian Priest to be world champion with Vince in charge. So I absolutely think Chad Gable's got a shot.
Yes, and Damian Priest, we're going to get to him momentarily, but that man overcame some of the just worst booking from that man, and look where he is right now.
Well, at least he didn't bite anybody's neck like Shayna Baszler, but he wasn't biting the people. He was hunting them, the ones that were biting them, but that's a whole different ballgame.
We're going to try to forget that as much as we can as we get to another highlight from this past Monday's Raw, which was Ricochet versus Braun Breaker. This is a really fun match. Braun Breaker in his spectacular tan is out there, and he's just putting in that work. Ricochet doing a great job selling the ribs from that spear that he sewed epically the week before. Great offense by Ricochet, goes for a recoil, goes up top, and Braun Breaker just vertical leaps up top. He taunts Ricochet before delivering a Frankensteiner and then hits the spear for the 1, 2, 3. The presentation of Braun Breaker on the main roster so far is perfection. We talked for a couple of years now that Braun Breaker was going to be a future WrestleMania main eventer. Just pick a number, pick a year of when that's going to happen. I can safely say that what we have said for a long time is starting to bear fruit. And I attribute that to the work he did with Baron Corbin during his last few months on NXT to really express himself as a personality, because this is great work. The presentation's everything. His in-ring work is going to get over. The fans want to bark with him. They want to cheer him because he's a badass. And I believe this is going to be the start of this man's ascent to the top in the next 2 to 3 years.
I changed my mind. I'll take Braun Breaker as Mr. Money in the Bank 2024. Change my mind. Give me the Breaker. Okay. Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. Spot on. I think the presentation's been great. They've instilled fear in him. I'm hoping we get a triple threat between the three. Number one contenders match. I think that would be a great number one contenders match, but probably won't. This is he's a guy that you have to let run through people. You have to let people take these losses and eat these L's. They'll be okay, because when they go back and look, it's just gonna be like they were just on the way. And the way they presented this man so far, spot on. And they just need to keep going the trajectory that they have, because I think it's going to be very hard to continue to deny him come January Royal Rumble time.
Yeah, it's getting difficult already. And we said this, and I think there was like that lull when he went through that. All the fans and the PC hates Braun because he's been there too long. He's in all this and that and the dirt. Like, he had to go through that, overcame the odds, and then bounced back, got the babyface pop back from those same fans that wanted him gone, and they probably miss him right now. He takes what he learned from Baron Corbin along the way, brings it to the main roster. It's amplified even more. And it's like, this is what we've been saying. Like, this is the guy we've been touting for years. We said this, and it's crazy to see it kind of bear fruit. The reality of this is coming, which is really cool. And it's just a matter of how WWE chooses to approach it, because they got it. They got it, as we said they would. This guy's got next. Braun Breaker is going to be a champion. Do you keep the Breaker name as a headliner name for WrestleMania? I don't know. But the guy himself, everything we've said has been prophesized and is going to come to pass. It's just a matter of when and where.
Yeah, he's him like that. The NXT class that they called up is special. Like, these are going to be guys and girls that are going to be foundational pieces for the next 10 to 15 years. Like, genuinely, the NXT class that was called up are people that are going to be foundational pieces in SmackDown and Raw going forward for the next 10, 15 years. I don't have a doubt about that. I mean, Tiffany's going to be one of the top women on the roster. And there's, again, no doubt about that. She's the next Bianca Belair, as far as she's just got it and she's going to run with it. She hasn't gotten the ball and gotten the rocket like Bianca got, but she's getting it, and people are acknowledging it too. She's somebody who could be a Miss Money in the Bank as well, but that's on a whole different riff.
Yes. So we're definitely looking forward to that when that time comes to Tiffany. And we know Braun's time is definitely coming imminently as we get to what was supposed to be the women's tag team championship match between Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, our champions, versus Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark. The match was going along pretty good until the witches came out. Aladon and Alba Fire came out there. And because they're from Scotland and because we need Scottish representation, we're going to probably have a triple threat for these titles at Clash at the Castle. Okay, I suppose. All right, cool.
I mean, it's either that or they start making people spit up black goo again. So I'll take this. I'll take this over the spells. And you know, honestly, it's really no different than what Piper's doing. At least I will say this as far as those two. And I think, by the way, their whole presentation, as far as just looking like normal people, I appreciate it a lot. I'm just
Yes.
saying, I appreciate it a lot that you've allowed them to look like normal people. Um, I I'm just saying, like it's amazing the difference that makes. I appreciate the fact also that they are at least saying, why aren't we getting the match? Like we want a match. Like we want to wrestle. So at least they're saying the right things. But yeah, it's just the card is coming together just the way it is. There's no real logical reason for it, and honestly, it's kind of it's you could tell they're just running on fumes right now, just putting matches together. They're like, okay, yeah, we need to get you on the card. We'll do this real quick, and we're back.
Basically. And I think
Yeah.
that what makes them very fortunate is the crowds, and they're going to be incredible.
hmm
And because they're going to be so incredible, it's going to elevate the matches on the card. Now, granted, I think that every match is going to deliver. I think there are going to be some surprises on the card too, as well. Primarily CM Punk, depending what role he plays in the main event. But yeah, it feels like a very thrown together card, no real thought process into making this clash better than the first one a couple of years ago. But I think ultimately the fans are going to elevate this show. The international PLE fans have done a great job elevating these shows in terms of atmosphere and excitement for us stateside the last few times. So I expect similar results next Saturday in Scotland as we get to what I thought was one of Jey Uso's better promos. He came out through the crowd and he spoke from the heart. And I think that's something that I've been wanting him to do for a while because he's been very reliant on Yeet. And that's a cool catchphrase, makes you a lot of money in terms of merchandise. But I just want a bit more of the Jay that got over as main event Jey Uso because his heart and soul was the thing that resonated with a lot of people. And he talked about losing his brother, his cousins, last year during this bloodline civil war and how it didn't go well for him at SummerSlam, but he wants to, go after something this year. And that is becoming Mr. Money in the Bank, basically declaring himself for the ladder match when it goes down next month in Toronto. And I'm all for that. So I like the fact that he was in the crowd. It was very organic and natural. The fans were with him. I love the interaction with him and the kids in the crowd. It was a very heartfelt, from the gut Jey Uso promo, which I think he needed. He needed something. And I think the fans love him, but they want substance as well versus the Yeet, which is cool. And they chant it, but I do want more in terms of what he's got to say emotionally on the mic, which I did get this past Monday, which I appreciated.
The men's side is there's a lot of people who could be on that card for the Money in the Bank. Jey Uso, obviously, he puts his name in the hat. He's a favorite. He got to he got to Gunther as far and got to face him for a spot in the finals for King of the Ring. So obviously he's top baby face, one of the top baby faces on the Raw brand. Then we talked about Chad Gable. He's somebody who could be in there. Braun Breaker, somebody who could be in there. And then you have to have they better have a Ricochet in there. There better be some type of Ricochet in there, or Prince Puma. He better be that man better be in the match, whether he got a mask on or not. You can't have a ladder match without that guy, so he can do something spectacular. But I just, this is, Jey Uso was fine. I didn't do a lot for me. I thought it was good. He's somebody that I think, and that's fine. It's not a knock, but he's somebody who has absolutely benefited from just being over. Like he's just the entrance is over. People want to eat with him. They want to see him succeed. They want to see him win the big one. So even if I thought the promo wasn't that great, it doesn't matter because the crowd was completely with him and they ate everything up that he did. And they're like, Money in the Bank. Yeah, we're all for that.
Yes, and I think he is a great benefactor of being over simply because he's Jey Uso, and that is the kind of level of popularity that a lot of people would love in wrestling, just to be over and not to have a storyline or something really meaty to work with right now, just to be over for being over. That is a gift that should be appreciated. And he lucked up into that in a very good way. But I do think the fans would love him even more with a good story, which I think is coming whenever Roman comes back. The reconciliation of the bloodline, the original as it was constructed, will be a moment for him. And then he'll have his moment in the sun. So I think it's going to be a very competitive Mr. Money in the Bank ladder match. Ricochet, as you said, he better be in there. Braun better be in there. Ilya better be in there. You know, we need some runners in that ladder match. I think about the SmackDown side. Andrade, if you want to push him, he better be there. He better be in that match. Carmelo Hayes, he better be in that match. So, hey, let's go for it. Logan Paul, why not? Let's add it up. Let's just have a little fun up in there.
Listen, I know we got to move on. I am here to give Logan Paul the world as far as wrestling goes. Like, you want to have him lose LA Knight and then come back out later on in the night and win Money in the Bank? I would not be opposed to it, and I would love to see just the pissed off reactions that would get, and he would be fantastic as Money in the Bank. He would carry the briefcase around with him everywhere. Like, this dude would be he would be doing his podcast with the briefcase probably right beside him. Maybe trying to get inside. Like, hey man, don't give me hope. Don't give me hope. Don't get me excited about something that has no chance of happening. Because I would be here for Logan Paul winning Money in the Bank, and I'm here for him to win the world title. But that's a whole other story. We'll get to. That's a whole other thing we can get to later. I'm just saying, man. I think he's great.
I never would have thought I would have said the words Logan Paul great at wrestling ever, but he is. It's undeniable. It's undisputed facts. And I respect him for that. The craft and the love he puts into what he does should be commended. And I do respect him for what he is doing because he has not missed. Have all the matches been perfect? No. But when he is asked to deliver and he is leaned into being an asshole on the microphone, this guy is exceptional. And he can be a big world champion in WWE, and it will not feel out of place at all.
I'm just saying, man. I know it's probably not going to happen. I know I got the Charles Barkley effect, but I'm just saying. I'm here for it.
All right. As we get to the main event of Monday Night Raw, which was Damian Priest, the World Heavyweight Champion, versus Rey Mysterio representing the LWO. And the introduction for Damian Priest, love that. Loved the fire and loved, the music and him coming out there. Presence for days. Damian Priest, as I've said years ago, presence all day long, swag all day long. There's a sex appeal there that has always stood out to me in a good way. Well, not before the Mr. Jekyll, Mr. Hot shit. But
I'm just saying, man,
there's a swag to him.
There's definitely a swag to him. I give you that. There's definitely a swag to him. But he's not like a Jason Momoa.
He's not that.
You know what I'm saying? Like he ain't got that type of charm to him.
No, but he does have like that brooding, like he does grab your attention.
Okay.
He does do that. He does. Okay. Now, yeah, that vampire thing on NXT, that was a bit much for me. But hey, he was trying to give Puerto Rican Blade, and that was, what it was.
No, you're right. That's exactly what he was doing. And the reason he showed up is because he was looking for Shayna Baszler, who had got called up when he showed up. So he was like, "Oh man, I must have just missed the vampire. I can't wait to get called up to Raw." And then she stopped biting people, so she must have got cured
magically. Let's not go back there in that time frame from hell. But back to the main event. Very good match. Rey and Damian always have good chemistry together. They had a couple of hiccups there because I think when Rey went for the 619, like Damian had kind of bump into the ropes to go there, but he hits it eventually. We got tons of interference, which was the theme of the night, with Judgment Day coming out there causing trouble, and we had Dragon Lee try to take out Carlito and JD and Finn Balor at one point, but it came down to Damian Priest going up top, hitting the South of Heaven on Rey Mysterio to get the victory. 1, 2, 3. After the match is over, Drew McIntyre comes out there looking like a hoss and taking out all of Judgment Day. He gets swamped at one point as well. And then Damian Priest actually gets the upper hand and he delivers South of Heaven to Drew McIntyre through the announce table as Judgment Day stands very tall heading into the PLE Clash at the Castle in Glasgow, Scotland. And Drew McIntyre, I think that he is going to win that championship in Glasgow, and CM Punk will come out there and they will have a moment. And I think the CM Punk is almost cleared. I smell match at SummerSlam. I smell it. I do.
I don't know, man. Let me tell you something. When you got a hater, okay, when you got somebody that genuinely hates your guts so much that they decide to just fall off the face of the earth so everybody forgets about them, and then they're just going to show up in your worst moment. You thought he felt bad after Solo. It won't be Tyson to cheer him up after this match, okay? Fury won't be there to cheer him up this time because he ain't the champ no more either. Yeah, I don't know if Drew's win. I'd love for Drew to win, get that moment, but you got the biggest hater in the world, and Drew is genuinely trolling this man at every corner. Like, I just saw he showed up and asked for CM Punk's face to be on the entranceway. Just his face, like a sad face of him, like crying. Like, okay, you playing with the devil. The devil gonna show up at your doorstep.
Listen, CM Punk is a generational hater.
For sure.
One of the greatest haters there has ever been. And the build up to this match, dating back to last year, has been great. And CM Punk getting injured was a happy accident because it has built this feud up. And like you said, like the hate is so strong that this man will probably fly thousands of miles just to cost this man a victory in his home country. And the fans will probably hate Punk for that. And Drew will be the beloved hero and they'll brawl all over Scotland. I don't know how it's going to go. I think either scenario works for me at the end of the day. But whenever the match takes place, it's going to be great. But I am really looking forward to the promos. And like Drew McIntyre, I have, loved this guy for years. And I was a big fan of his initial run as champion 4 years ago, carrying the company on his back during the pandemic. And I think that his heel work has been outstanding this year. And CM Punk, like he probably had like an idea when he initially came back to feud with Seth Rollins. This is the second best happy accident because him and Drew have great chemistry, ethering each other every chance they get.
Yeah, him and Drew have great chemistry and their energy's off the charts. But I push back on that Seth Rollins one. I think that one, whenever they get their time, that's going to be the one. That's going to be the one where it's like, yeah, okay, because it's going to be Punk as champion this time, and Rollins is going to be the one that's going to have to topple that monster. So the dynamics will be changed. Like I think that one is going to be the one. Rollins and Punk. It's like Punk's got some big matchups lined up. Even just those two. Like even if you just have those two in your pocket, Drew at SummerSlam and Rollins at WrestleMania, like you're set. He's set. Like his lineup is set because like I said, I think him and Rollins is going to be whatever him and Drew get, and Drew definitely gets the advantage of going to Clash and going overseas and whatnot. But him and Rollins is going to be special. But yeah, this is great. I agree with everything you said about Drew McIntyre. This could potentially be the run of his career, especially if he does win the world title in his home country, and then he does get the big match with CM Punk, and he gets the big run. So yeah, I agree with everything you said about Drew McIntyre.
Yes, and before we get to NXT, I do want to touch on one thing from CM Punk, and that when he comes back, when he's back on a full-time schedule in WWE, when he's healthy and 100%, he's going to be the anchor of that show. Most definitely. And they need that right now. They're missing Cody, and SmackDown's doing fine. When Roman comes back, that show is going to be like poof, poof, big time. Now, when they move to USA, I don't know what those numbers are going to look like because moving from network television to cable is going to be a dip. But with CM Punk being like the centerpiece of Monday Night Raw, he would definitely help those numbers late summer, early fall before the NFL kicks off for sure. He'll be a great centerpiece for them, most definitely. Because when he's on, those numbers do shift in a good direction.
When are they going to Netflix?
Monday Night Raw moves to Netflix in January. SmackDown moves back to USA in September.
Yeah, I mean, it won't matter come January anyways, because we won't know what the ratings are. I can't imagine they're not gonna have any type of ratings or anything like that. So that won't matter. But and him having that type of free reign on Netflix to really just be able to kind of say what he wants, that'll be a lot of fun. As far as SmackDown goes, we are going to see what the Roman and Cody effect really is. We're going
Yes.
to see what type of fan base travels with them, travels networks with them. That's because that is a big dip, and we're going to see, like I said, we're going to see exactly what the effect is of those two.
Yes, because that is a potential 500,000 viewer swing.
I say more. I think possibly more. To be honest with you.
Well, if SmackDown's doing like 2.5 on Fox right now, they're gonna lose at least 500,000 off top just moving back to USA. That's just the contraction of it. Now, what they can gain from that, I don't know. It's gonna be a little different because they've had such a big cushion on Fox the last year or so with those numbers being astronomical in terms of the demos. It's not gonna be as strong on USA Network. We'll see. I mean, it's a network that people are familiar with, but it's not as in many homes versus Fox. So that is where my concern is.
Yeah, and it is what it is. We're gonna get some big shows, and like you're probably right. They probably will hit about 2 point something during that first show when they return, because I'm sure they're gonna load it up. Might even get a Roman match. Hell, might get Roman and Cody teaming up versus Solo and somebody. I mean, like, listen, Roman's gonna have to go on a little bit of a redemption tour, just like every major heel has to do. I mean, Roman doesn't have to, but he probably will. Like, he's probably gonna go through everybody, and you're gonna see a moment with Roman and Cody. It's just gonna happen.
Yes, absolutely. As we get to NXT going down live from the PC on USA Network, and I am going to touch on ever so briefly Sexy Red because she appeared on last week's NXT, and Scott's doing the dance right now. The Sexy Red experience was something. The demos popped a big rating for NXT. We're going to find out tomorrow whether or not it was really Sexy Red or was it just the show itself. But yeah, she was a draw for them. She will be at Battleground this Sunday as the host. So, you know what? Good for her. She knows how to promote. She knows how to market herself. And I could not believe my eyes when I saw her and Shawn Michaels in a car singing Sexy Boy.
First off, get it sexy. I not a fan. Not for me. It is what it is. She just don't think she's very good. But again, who cares what I think? Because apparently a lot of other people think she's great. And she got a great reaction. She's going to be the host. We'll see what that does. But it's a cool thing for NXT to have her associated with it, because that's a whole demographic that she's going to hit. That they don't have a lot of. Well, actually, they do have a lot of people who can hit that demographic, but she's going to hit it in a different way. Like, she's going to hit the goons. The goons are probably going to be tuning in to NXT, and don't let them catch an eye on Miss Parker. Because once they see Miss Parker, they will not be. They'll be tuning in every Tuesday, 8:00, 7:55, sitting down.
7:55 sitting down. Yes, they will. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Sexy Red either, but if you are a draw and you get a reaction,
it is what it is.
What can I possibly say? I'm gonna sit back and say, you do you, Sexy Red. You do you, and you have respect and you have admiration for what you're being a part of. I can't knock the hustle. Do what you got to do. Shout out to your marketing team. Shout out to your promo team, because they knew to get you booked for NXT, and look at you popping a number. Go ahead, Sexy Red. Do your thing, girl. Handle your business. What? I'm just saying.
Shout out to HBK, man.
Shout out to him. Shout out to him.
Listen, say something. I don't know what type of reparations he been on, but he been he been booking a lot of sisters on the show. I'm just
Yes.
saying, man. I don't know what he been on, but they be getting a lot of love from him.
HBK for the culture. Yes, he is. And shout
He
out to
has
him.
been.
He's been for the culture.
He has been, man.
I can't even lie. Like, this man is for the culture. And he changed his profile picture to the meme of him cooking. Like, that's just him right now. Like, HBK is on one. Like, I love him. Like, embrace it. He's on one. He's for the culture. Let's lean in.
And I know we're gonna get to it. And while we're on the topic of the culture, like I know for sure for women, it definitely is. This is the first ladder match to have 5 black women in it. There might not have ever been a ladder match to have 5 black people in it.
Whew. Say it louder.
I'm genuinely thinking about it. Like, who could possibly be the 5 in the match that you could have 5 black people in a ladder match? And I'm thinking maybe there was a tag ladder match with like the Street Profits and the New Day, but then there's not another black tag team. So it's like,
when you say it like that, it's like, look at the representation.
I'm just saying, like, give this man some love. And not only that, it's 5 black women. Like, this is a historic thing. Like, and I appreciate the fact that they're not like hammering it down, because now this is starting to become normal.
Yes.
And that's what the goal should be, is that this should be a normal thing where we have 5 black women in this ladder match for the first champion, to crown the first champion. And it just is what it is. It's just a normal PLE. That's what it should be. And that's great progress. Still got a ways to go as always, but that's a great way to get it going.
Absolutely. The booking, like Sean, like for me, him just, and then him trusting who he's picking for these matches, trusting
100%.
Lash and Kalani and Soul and Jada and Mishin, and you got Fallon as a vet out there. So you got like the pieces here to have a really good match. I think it's going to over deliver in a big way. Looking forward to it very much. I enjoyed the summit. I think it was better than usual. Some of the dialogue, choices, but you know who I love? Jada Parker. That girl just
say it, man.
My God. Like, first of all, charisma, but the mic skills, like the way that she just pops off and goes off, like the delivery, the clapbacks, it's great. Mishin, when she's allowed to go off, like, go ahead, Mia, go ahead. So I love that. And Kalani had her moments too, which I appreciated. She kind of stood up for herself a little bit, puffed up her chest a little bit, because when you round Jada, you gotta, stand on your business.
She better sit her little self down. She better sit her little self down. Go wait in the corner for her time to springboard onto somebody.
Oh, stop it.
You better not bark up that tree.
Stop it. Stop it. And Lash is Lash as always, and they trying to cool off her and Trick. How dare you? The nerve. But that's all right. We'll save that for another day. But yeah, Summit was all right. But let's talk about Jordynne Grace, who kicked off the show against Stevie. What's her last name? Stevie Nicks? No, not Stevie
Turner.
Stevie Turner. Because I said her name. I said, where's she been? And magically she appears. Look at God. So Jordynne Grace, who is the TNA Knockouts champion, is on NXT television. And the pop that she got last week was crazy. And she came out there to another really good reception. And I think that this collaboration with TNA is fascinating. And Jordynne Grace is one of the best people they could have called up. And now she's going to have this really strong match against Roxanne Perez for the NXT Women's Championship at Battleground. And dare I say, let Jordynne win the championship. Why not?
They don't need to dare say it. Just say it. Yeah. Give her the belt. Let her have the belt, man. You want to make some waves. You want to show that this is more than just a quick little PR move. Because we'll get to it later. Because I'll take it a step further. To be honest with you, I'll have them take over. But yeah, I'm here for Jordynne Grace doing that. Like, she came across as one of the baddest women walking, as she should, as she is. She looked great. She presented herself well. Stevie got just enough offense where it was like she got a couple spots in, she knocked her down a couple times, but Jordynne dominated the match, ran through her. This was exactly what it needed to be, and she came off as a monster, as a beast. And the commentators, I thought, did a good job of just kind of oogling over her in the right way, not the Booker T way, but the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. She was really good out there, and she was phenomenal at the Royal Rumble back in January because we didn't see her coming out there, and she was in that match for a good while, got over, and that resonated with a lot of fans as well. So I think that she would be great on NXT. I think she should win the championship. Don't let it be like lip service and say, here's a cross promotional match, and then she'll lose, but yay, she got something. No, let her win. I think Roxanne loses nothing in defeat, and Jordynne gets to elevate TNA and that NXT Women's Championship at the exact same time. Why not? I'm here for that. So I really enjoyed that showcase match as she beat Stevie Turner one-on-one. More highlights from NXT from last night was Ego Ethan Page, trying to get that deal done. And Ava, I must say,
I
must
You not about to
say,
give some love to Ava, are you? Hold on a second. Let me make sure this
okay,
thing's recording. Okay, you got this thing recording?
it's
We live, right? I
recorded.
was just
We're
making
live.
sure because this is about to be a moment. Go ahead.
It is about to be a moment. I cannot believe I'm saying it, but when you're on TV and you're given this expanded role as general manager and you're asked to talk a lot, it gives you the opportunity to, I don't know, talk and act and express and practice and get more over. And I will say that Ava is way more comfortable in this role than she was 3 months ago. I think that she has improved. She has good presence. She has good comedic timing in some ways. She's going through it as GM. You got Robert Stone trying to be the assistant now. It's like she's all over the show trying to handle business, and she's carrying herself in a bigger way. The fans have gotten over whatever the fuck was going on with The Rock back in January when she was getting smoked unnecessarily, which was really crazy, but she's gotten past that. But I think she's done a really good job improving in this role, and that might be her calling, that she just might be a good personality that can talk, and she has improved in that regard. I believe her as GM now. So Ava, you get 2 snaps from me. Good for you.
So, first of all, she ain't got no choice but to improve because she gonna be in this job whether she wanted or not, as long as The Rock's involved with TKO. Then she don't want to work. She ain't trying to rework. She was like, man, listen, the rest of the things not working. I'm gonna just say, no, you're not. No, you're not. You are going back there. You about to be the GM and run that show. So yeah, I agree with you. She has improved. She does feel more confident, and she doesn't feel like just completely lifeless out there. There are times where she does. I think she's just, I don't know. She's still okay to me at times. Like I thought during the main event segment, I thought there were like when she was calling out Ethan Page, I thought that was okay. I thought she was hamming it up a bit much, but again, what do I know? Obviously it's working because like you said, they have lightened up on her, and maybe that has to do with The Rock. Maybe it has to do with her improving too, but shout out to her and shout out to you, man, giving some love to Ava.
Yes, I want Ava to succeed. It is not easy being the daughter of the biggest movie star on the planet Earth and one of the biggest stars in professional wrestling history. That is a burden that is very hard to carry, and those expectations are very, very high. So for her to find her own way via her voice, that's impressive to me. And she has ways to go. Sometimes I think she's still trying to memorize her lines to get through segment to segment, but I think there's more of a natural flow with how she's carrying herself and the promos. She's going to get better, and that takes time. I said the same for Liv last Monday on Raw. Like, when she's cutting her promos, like if you give Liv the time to talk, boom, and you see what happens when you're comfortable and you're given the opportunity to talk and to express. That's what happens. So I will give Ava her 8.5s for improving in that regard. So I am not a total hater.
All right, well that's good. I'm glad you're representing the show, but you're by yourself for right now.
Shameful. And then you hyped me up and left me out to dry. Like, oh, do it, Keila. And then, oh, by the way, I will not be standing in your corner for any of this.
That ain't the hill I'm rolling up. I'll bring you some supplies. If you need some water, I'll bring you some of that, but I won't be standing up on that hill with you though. Won't be standing by that flag.
Okay. All right. Whatever you say. All right. So then we get a very quickie Heritage Cup match, Tony D'Angelo and Damon Kemp.
For what?
Like for what? Like it went 3 rounds and knockout, whatever. So that happened. It existed. Then we had the highlight package for Lola Vice and Shayna Baszler. They're gonna have an NXT underground match at Battleground. That should be really fun. Two MMA fighters going at it, just taking it to each other. I just hope that with them being at the UFC Apex, they take it seriously. I don't want this to be hokey. I kind of want them to reintroduce the fight pit because that was the most serious concept match for the MMA fighters for me. The underground is cool, but it can be a little corny for me. Fight pit, that's dead ass serious. Just kind of reintroduce that into the underground, and I think we'll be good to go moving forward if they choose to reintroduce that concept in the months ahead if they opt to go in that direction.
I think they probably would have went with the fight pit if they were going to an arena. But I think since they were actually going to a UFC place, they're like, yeah, I don't know if we should do the fight pit in the UFC or, in that cage. It's kind of like, that's kind of sacrilegious, right? I mean, right? You can't do that, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, but I agree with you. I think the fight pit, and it absolutely can still be on the table down the road for them. But I thought the video package was really well done. And I thought Shayna came off good. She came off as, the old Queen of Spades from NXT. But Lola Vice, man, like she came off very well in that video package. Very well. I thought it was very good.
I thought so as well. Anything else notable from NXT last night USA? I'm trying to rack my brain. 6-woman tag team match. It was kind of like strange bedfellows. It was
great finish though.
Great finish. Love the finish. It was Lash and it was Ruka, and I believe it was.
No, that was it.
Okay, that was the team, right?
Oh no, the team was I'm sorry, no, the team was Ruka, Mishin, and
Fallon Henley, right?
No, I think it was Jada. It was Jada.
Okay.
Yeah, it was Jada because Kalani, Fallon, and Lash were on the other team.
Okay.
Yeah, that was it. And I like the finish because it played off of the summit where Lash specifically said that she would not get her soul snatched. She said that specifically, and she was the one who did. I thought that was very, very well done. Good breadcrumbs there.
Yes, it was. Look at Walker HBK planting seeds and paying off in the same show because that's exactly what Lash said. You will not be snatching my soul. And like she thought she was Beyonce. You won't break my soul. So Luca said, bet. And she snatched it.
Taylor Swifter.
Roll the rave on her. Okay, hit that soul snatcher and said, bet.
That was pretty too.
It was very pretty. Love the springboard as she hit it out of nowhere. And for reasons unknown to all of us, Jasmine Nix and Catwoman, whoever that was, JC Jane was out there and they were just spectating for reasons, I suppose. What the fuck she had on?
She looked like the Phantom of the Opera. That's what she looked like.
She was just out there for reasons, spectating and saying, I wish it was me, I suppose. So she did like a little golf clap after Sol Ruka won. So I guess he'll be spectating again during the ladder match on Sunday. And then the show ends with Ego Ethan Page trying to get that deal done. He wants so many demands met on this contract. And Abe was like, no. Trick comes out there, says, give the man what he wants. He comes out here trying to make trouble for us here. We've been here. I've been running this for a long time. Give the man what he wants. And Ego Ethan Page wants everything off top. First match in WWE. I want an NXT championship match in the main event, presumably at Battleground against Trick for the championship. And it's a go. And I'm like, bet, let's go. I had no idea Ethan Page was coming in WWE. That was a hell of a surprise last Tuesday. And I'm here for it. And I'm going to be real. Belt him. Love Trick. Belt Ethan Page. If you signing a guy like that with a big splash, you belt him.
Yeah, that's what I was alluding to earlier because I agree with you. I think you go all in, man. You bring them in, Jordynne and Ethan, and it's like, what now? It's kind of like, what now? What do we do now? And I think Ethan Page is somebody you can really do that with and kind of have him pop back up in TNA with the NXT title. Like I just think there's a lot of things you could do with him as champion, and the redemption story of Trick getting that title back, because Trick is still going to be a mainstay fixture in NXT. He's going to be one of those people that CW builds around, and I think Ethan Page could be one of those guys too. I think they got a lot going on, and I think they're getting people ready, and they're kind of like going through everyone, like who's going to be the foundational people that is going to get weekly TV time every week, and these are going to be two of your main eventers right here. So yeah, I agree with you. I say go all in, give Ethan the belt.
I say that as well. I love Ethan. He's great. Great pickup by WWE. You send a statement. You got Jordynne Grace. You got Ego Ethan Page. You belt them. You make a statement to say, this is what we're going to do. And hey, the C-Dub needs some shine. And in C-Dub news, before we end the show, because we got to do our preview as we run a little over today, because we're doing it live. Hey, Scott, All-American got renewed. So they got one hit on the C-Dub
for season 7. I stopped watching after spoiler alert, after somebody died in season 3, I stopped watching because they just went off the rails. People started getting shot randomly at proms and stuff. But yeah, I guess that's great.
Yeah, it is. It is. Listen,
little brother got to be getting ready to graduate at this point.
Child, something. But I will say, like, that Netflix license money is real nice for them. And you don't turn that down, because you give Netflix the leeway, they will scoop up All-American and they'll just pick it up and keep it going. That's real talk. So either you keep it going with that nice license that you get from them, or you cancel it and you let Netflix get the bag. So pick your poison.
Either way, looks like All-American and WWE gonna be working side by side some way, somehow.
Hey, they need the lead in, so I'm all for that. So hey, listen. I was worried about the C-Dub. But that's all they got. They got NXT and they got All-American. So with that, let's quickly go through the Battleground card for Sunday, which we'll be back for right here on YouTube. So Scott, who you got in Lola Vice, Shayna Baszler in an NXT Underground match?
This is a tough one, but I got Lola Vice knocking her out. Whether it's she gets some brass knuckles or some type of nefarious means, but I got Lola Vice with the knockout.
I got Lola Vice with the knockout too. I'm all for that. Then we have Obafemi versus Wesley versus Joe Coffey in a triple threat match for the NXT North American Championship. I got Obafemi.
I got Oba winning. I have Gallus destroying Wesley afterwards. And in my fantasy booking mind, since we're doing this TNA partnership, I got the Rascals coming back to help out old Wesley.
Could be a moment for sure if they decide to go there, because we know that the Rascals was supposed to be a package deal at one point, and that never came to pass. It might now. Very good possibility. As we get to Nathan Fraser and Axiom, who looked very good last night without a shirt on outside the parking lot, versus the OCs, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, for the NXT Tag Team Championship.
Yeah. These guys are literally selling the shirts off their back. Hey, my shirt. Oh my gosh, you can have my shirt. Look at me. Yeah. They knew what they were doing. They in there selling t-shirts shirtless. When they do that at? They selling t-shirts shirtless.
I don't know
what,
but I appreciated it.
and you know what? I bet you they picked up a lot of extra sales. There were probably a lot of women and probably a lot of men like, oh, you know what? Let me go get a shirt too. let me go get one of those shirts. You got a mask? Can I get a mask? You got one of those fin masks? Oh, I'm sorry. Wrong show. But yeah, I got Nathan and Axiom. I think they pick up the win. I hope so, at least, because I'm kind of worried about Carl Anderson. I know he shows up when it's bright lights Carl, But since they went to the UFC arena and there's not as many people, and we got this TNA partnership, he might go to TNA Dim Lights, Carl, instead.
Oh,
So
no.
I just don't know which one we're gonna get. So I'm going with Nathan.
Pray for Bright Lights Carl to show up, because when he's on, he's on. So let's pray on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Prayers up. Let's hope the lights are on for him on Sunday as we get to the 6-woman ladder match for the inaugural NXT Women's North American Championship match. We got Soruka versus Lash Legend versus Fallon Henley versus Jada Parker versus Michin versus Kalani Jordynne. I got as the inaugural champion. Ooh, this is tough.
It is
tough, but I'm going to pick Lash Legend.
Really? You think they're gonna give it to Lash?
I think they're going to give it to Lash, yes.
Okay, that'd be interesting. Lash and Trick both, because if they give it to Lash, I think Trick ends up winning this, keeps his title, so they can kind of have their moment. Because they on NXT they kind of broke up, and Lash was like, I got to focus on me, I got to get my gold, and Trick was like, the gentleman he is, by the way,
Yes.
was like, that's cool, man. Go do you. It's all good.
That's a king. Okay.
That's a king. Hey, that's king stuff right there. And fellas, if you watching and you don't know how to break up, or you know how to take a breakup, that's how you take a breakup, man. That's about as gentlemanly as you can do it. But I think they would have their moment. So okay, so Lash, I'm going with my client, man. I'm going with Jada Parker. I think they boost the young gun, and I'm going with Jada.
You can't go wrong with any of the possible winners here. I like Jada Parker too. Love Lash. I enjoy Soruka. Fallon Henley's the vet here. Enjoy Michin too, and Kalani Jordynne. Her time will come, but I'm with Lash. We'll see, but I won't be upset one way or the other as we get to what could be the main event of this show. Roxanne Perez versus Jordynne Grace for the NXT Women's Championship. We have both said that we want Jordynne Grace to get the chip.
Yeah, I just think you're sending a message, and you're sending it loud and clear. So yeah, Jordynne Grace.
Yes, and what could be the possible other main event would be the debuting Ego Ethan Page to NXT versus Trick Williams for the NXT Championship. We have both also said that it should be Ego Ethan Page winning this championship.
Yes. Again, just go all in with it, and the comeback is always greater. Part 2 is always better. Rocky 2 is always better.
Yes, not 3, 4, or 5, but hey,
4 is great. 4 is great.
4 is okay.
4 is great. Him and the Russian. Oh, it's great.
Okay. Now the plot, but the fights,
Plot is
terrible
awful.
plot. Love the fight. Terrible plot. That is my contention.
Eating that body, and he's just inside. Pause. It's great.
I loved how you put the pause in there after you said what you said, because that was egregious.
Woo!
It was, because you went in deep. You really did. So
that's what she said. Listen,
only us can do this on this show and it not come off weird.
Oh man, yeah, because I realized once I said, I was like, God dang, that was crazy.
That was one of the craziest things you've said, and you said crazy stuff every week for like the last 3 weeks. It's been egregious, but this was very egregious. Yeah. But that speaks to our comfortability as co-captains, because we just let this stuff flow.
That's funny. Yeah, but no Diddy.
Oh my God. Okay, before we get sued, now it's time for us to wrap this show up right here on the Fight Game Media Network. For those of you that tuned in via YouTube, is going to re-listen to the show via the podcast when it drops tomorrow morning, or who watch on social media, thank you for joining us. Had a really good time as we talk all things WWE, the wraparound version of the wrap, as we get ready for a very busy weekend for WWE, where PLE on the East Coast at night on a Sunday night. It's weird, but we're going to be back on Sunday night, I do believe, recapping the highs and lows of NXT Battleground right here live on YouTube on Fight Game Media. I do want to thank my co-captain, Salty Scott Young, for joining me as always as we recap a very busy week so far in WWE.
Thank you for having me, Keila. As always, it's a pleasure to chop it up and talk all things WWE. I'm excited for NXT Fight Night 204 coming live. The Apex Arena. Really, really excited to cover it this weekend, so I can't wait.
Not Fight Night 204. Just gave it a whole number and everything. My
I'm just
God.
saying. I mean, that's essentially what they did. They took it from a PLE to a fight night. It's a fight night now.
Listen, that's what we need in our lives, okay? That's what we need in our lives. I'm all for that. But we'll be back on Sunday night recapping NXT Battleground going down live from the UFC Apex Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. I hope you enjoyed the show. We had a lot of fun talking all things WWE. We'll be back on Sunday. Until then, for myself and for Salty Scott Young, take care and bye-bye.